Look at it this way. Rifle hunters have harvested a total of 259,670 deer from 1998 to 2020. Archery hunters have only harvested 30,871 deer in the same time period. That means rifle hunters have harvested 228,799 more deer than archery hunters in the last 23 years. So why is the department singling out archery hunters now? What's going on, everybody? My name is Albert. This is my channel, Harvestlandtv. If you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. All the links in the description below go towards supporting this channel and our efforts to take veterans out hunting and fishing to combat veteran suicide. If anyone out there is having suicide ideation, please reach out and talk to somebody, let them know what you're going through. All right, this is a good thing to do. You're a child of God. You've got a purpose in this life. Please, you didn't leave this or you didn't go into this world on your own. Please don't try and leave this world on your own, all right? So with that being said, let's get into the video. So today what we're going to be discussing is over-the-counter archery tags in Arizona. The commission is reevaluating them because we supposedly hit over 20% in 2020. So we're going to be looking at that. I got a lot of data. All these numbers are on the website for the Game and Fish, so you can go check those out. The links will be in the description below as well. So bear with me. I got a lot of notes I got to read, so it's really good information though. So stay tuned. The Arizona Game and Fish seem to be forming a storyline, and at the foundation of that story is that our wildlife in Arizona are suffering, that we have been in an apocalyptic drought for the last 20 years, and our wildlife cannot handle disease, predators, drought, and hunting pressure. With the increase in human population and decrease in wildlife habitat, it is no wonder why our wildlife are on the edge of something bad. By Todd Gieler's words, you have to be deaf or blind not to see what's going on. Not only that, but let's add on top of that the #1 scapegoat of the 21st century, COVID, and use that to further push along our agenda for wildlife being pressured. Sounds good, right? In my opinion, it's all wrong. The department is evaluating to either maintain the status quo, that means to change nothing, add on a few season variations, the harvest threshold method by unit, rotating open seasons, all draw, or have August over the counter and December the draw. December through January the draw, period. To me, the harvest threshold method seems to be the best idea to prove whether or not our deer are truly under that much attack. Through my research, I found out that archers in Arizona had an average success rate of 6% for the last 23 years. That's a 6% success rate in the last 23 years. And they rate a 20% success rate, okay, by the commission's guidelines. Which means archers are actually taking less than what they are rated. The threshold method would be making mule deer the same method as bear and mountain lion. A certain unit reaches a certain number of kills and they close off that unit. This would require mandatory reporting, which really isn't a bad thing and could honestly help build trust between hunters and the department. But at the same time, archers aren't at the highest success rate when you compare it to rifled deer. We will go over the data that is given to us by the department next. I wanted to know why the department was so concerned about the archery harvest rate. Well, in 2020, the over-the-counter tags reached an estimated 3,568 harvested deer. That number is based off of 6,900 questionnaires being returned, and out of that 6,900 response, roughly 800 deer in Arizona were actually harvested. If we entertain that many deer were actually harvested by archery hunters, then that gives us a 12% success rate based on the 30,606 over-the-counter tags being issued. However, the rifled deer permits are at a way higher success rate of 42% for 2020. So I don't understand why the department is trying to limit archery opportunities. It makes more sense to limit the tags that have the higher success rate. This, of course, is based off of their data that calculates the general number of the most likely amount of deer harvested in a given year, which they admit is overestimated. Remember that. The department has been doing this method for decades, and they defend it as strongly reliable. So that's what we're going to roll with, that their data is dependable, just like Jim Heffelfinger states in the Gritty Podcast number 623. at 1 hour and 21 minutes to 24 minutes. He strongly defends the methods for surveying and managing the deer population. When Heffelfinger would get a hunter saying that there isn't enough deer to hunt, he would, and I quote, I would pull out my binder, turn to that unit, that species, and say we harvested X amount of deer. Here is what the buck to doe ratio is, here is what the fawn to doe ratio is, they're both within or around our guidelines. The trend to buck to doe ratio is stable, increasing, or slightly decreasing. It's not just randomly giving out tags, end quote. At 1 hour and 26 minutes, he states, the agency depends on this very scientific and robust data. So my question is this, if the data is so precise, then why has the department not been limiting the rifle tags? In 2014, rifle tags had a 26% harvest rate, which was pretty much the average from 1998 to 2014, at around 25%. But then in 2015, the rate spiked to 34%, then 36% in 2016, then 41% in 2017, and then back down to 39% in 2019, and then in 2020 the harvest rate was 42%. That's an average of 38% in just 5 years. Just as a reminder, these permit tags are considered general rifle, youth rifle, and muzzle loader. The way it works in Arizona is archery hunters are allowed 20% of the rifle success rate. That means if rifle hunters kill 1,000 deer, then archery is allowed 200 deer to be harvested. If the archery hunters go over that 200 number, they start to limit archery hunters' opportunity. The department took away roughly 30 units of the December and archery opportunity in 2020 due to their perceptions of archers taking higher percentage of deer, when in fact archery hunters have on average a 6.4 success rate over the past 23 years versus rifle hunters' success rate of 28%. The harvest rate started to drastically increase in 2015, with 14,424 deer being harvested. Then in 2016, 15,593 deer. And at an all-time high in 2017, in the past 23 years by the way, it's never been this high, 18,009 deer were harvested by rifle hunters. The department maintained a 45 to 47,000 permit tags being issued each year from 2008 to 2020. But if we've been in an apocalyptic drought for the past 23 years, then why has the department been steadily increasing rifle tags? So then I went and I looked at the harvest rate for over-the-counter archery tags. Archery harvest rate from 1998 to 2006 was 5%, and from 2007 to 2020 the average harvest rate was 7%, giving archers in Arizona only a 2% increase in success rate over the past 23 years, and only a 3% increase in harvest rate for the past 39 years. Versus rifles hunters' 7% increase in the last 23 years. Based on the harvest rate of rifle deer hunters between 1998 and 2020, the over-the-counter archery tags on average rated 2,360 deer to be harvested each year. In that same time period, the average amount of deer that were actually harvested by archery hunters is 1,470 deer each year. That means that archers shot less deer over the last 23 years than what they were rated. So that comes out to archery hunters failing to harvest 18,178 deer over the past 23 years. Look at it this way, rifle hunters have harvested a total of 259,670 deer from 1998 to 2020. Archery hunters have only harvested 30,871 deer in the same time period. That means rifle hunters have harvested 228,799 more deer than archery hunters in the last 23 years. So why is the department singling out archery hunters now? I believe Jim Heffelfinger says it best in the same podcast at 51 minutes to 53 minutes. We were out there hunting and we didn't see a whole lot of other hunters. And we hunted water. You wouldn't want to change your whole management scheme because of an unusual year where the deer are close to water. You don't take the driest year in Tucson history and change your whole deer management system to try and avoid hunters crowding around water holes. He even further states at 58 minutes to 59 minutes that the department probably overestimates harvest data, beginning quote. It's a little biased, we probably overestimate hunt success. Research shows about 10% is overestimated. It's been the same for decades, end quote. At 53 minutes to 54 minutes, Heffelfinger states that in the future, if we see harvest rate exceeding 20%, we may have to close some units down. The idea that there's a whole lot of people out there taking advantage of our cows deer and mule deer with a bow is not such a negative thing in my opinion, and the agency's opinion, so long as you are not impacting the deer population. We do surveys every other year to determine whether or not it is excessive or within the guidelines. Now to me, that's the end of the quote right there. Now to me, if there's any significant impact on our deer populations, then it's most likely due to the rifle permits, not archery. Over-the-counter archery deer in 2020 went over the 20% harvest rate for the first time in 23 years by 147 deer. When technically, if the data is inflated by 10%, then that would equate for 350 deer not being harvested, which means the archery hunters did not go over the 20%. Again, you shouldn't change your whole management plan based off of 1 year. That's just sound judgment. However, the department could start limiting the rifle tags, but that's not financially viable. Just for entertainment, I decided to research the cost of permits. The furthest I could find was from 2004 to 2020. Over-the-counter archery tags have generated almost $13 million over the past 23 years, while rifle has generated $37 million. Quite an incentive to group all the tags into the same draw, if you ask me. I actually think the management plan that the department has been conducting is actually paying off for them. Perhaps the increase in harvest rate is a result of a flourishing population. I mean, more people getting tags has a slight variation in the harvest rate. But perhaps this increase in harvest is due to an increase in opportunity, due to a healthy population of deer. But they have survey data that we cannot see, and that is inputted into their mathematical system. So perhaps the deer counts are low, and that is why they are concerned. However, if we loop back around to the fact that this has been going on since 2008, and has really ramped up in 2015 with 14,424 deer harvested by rifle hunters, along with 18,009 deer being harvested by rifle hunters in 2017. So what can we gather from this data, if it is as scientific as the Game and Fish say it is? Well, there's only one option for the department. If their numbers are as sound as Heffelfinger states they are, and they continue to build on their foundation of human global meltdown happening upon the wildlife, then they have done nothing about the significant increase of threat upon the deer of Arizona for the past 13 years. They have allowed rifle tags to go unchecked on a population at such heightened danger, and now they point the finger at archery hunters for being the problem. The department cannot continue to claim the same weak foundation that they have held firm to. They have to make a definitive statement. Is there really this massive meltdown happening with our wildlife due to human activity that I must be deaf and blind to? And if so, why has the department neglected this meltdown for 13 years? Why have they allowed the sale of licenses to only increase for 13 years? And why are they only making an assessment of over-the-counter archery tags? Why would the department not limit rifle tags that have a 42% success rate versus the archery hunters' 12% success rate in 2020? Either the department royally screwed up for the past 13 years, or we have a flourishing deer population resulting in a higher harvest rate. The commission will be meeting at the Sheraton Yuma 2030 South Avenue 3E, Yuma, Arizona at 8 a.m. on December 10th. They will vote on the proposed options, and I urge people to show up or call into the meeting or email the department at azhuntguidelines@azgfd.gov. To me, the best thing to do is have the department either start limiting rifle tags and collect more data on over-the-counter archery tags, or if they absolutely have to do something now, then go with the threshold method. I know a lot of hunters in the past weren't really happy about having to mandatory report the deer that they killed, but guess what? It's the best way for conservation. It's the best way to prove what we're actually taking each year and how significant it is an impact on our wildlife. So thank you for watching. Again, subscribe if you have not already, and God bless.